My name is Christoph Glaser. I'm the CEO of the TLEX Institute, and it's my real great pleasure to welcome all of you to today's podcast in the series Learning from Leaders, hosted by the TLEX Institute and the World Forum for Ethics in Business. With us, we have today a truly inspirational leader, Deepak Kumar. He is Executive Vice President, Human Resources at SIDEL, a company with more than 5,000 employees that is manufacturing equipment and services for packaging liquids. Deepak, thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure is all mine, Christoph. Happy to be here.
Great. Now, today's topic is finding my resilience, overcoming that sense of languishing and find a way to flourish in the new normal. And Deepak, I know you as a very inspirational person, really, always upbeat, positive, energetic. However, also you had to go through this 1.5 long years of COVID crisis. And we know today that, for example, the AXA report suggests that before the pandemic, 60% of the people had a good frame of mind. And during the onset of COVID, it fell to 34%, highlighting the worsening condition of mental health in Europe. And I really believe it has affected all of us. So I thought to start the conversation by asking you, to what degree did the COVID crisis affect you personally? Did you have moments in which you felt down, and how did you cope with it?
Yes, I can share with you. I'm not an exception. You know, when COVID began here in March, because I'm based in France, in March, then I thought in my normal resilience and positive and energetic mindset, okay, I will overcome. And all the experts were saying it's a 3 months, 6 months period. And it was, we will do it. So I continued my hectic activities. We were allowed to go only within 1 kilometer radius for 1 hour. I continued my morning walk, morning run with the evening walk with my wife. But when the second pandemic hit in December or in November, in the after the autumn, I can tell you it affected me. And it affected me. I seemed to lose a little bit of energy, and I felt a little bit of aloof. And you know, Christoph, as you have said, I'm a little bit of a person who is more positive, but also I get my energy from people. So, and that I was being denied that energy by staying back and by not going to office, by not traveling, by not meeting my people spread across the world. So I felt a little bit downing of the energy, and this was a time that continued for a few weeks. Then you know, I'm a practitioner of a little bit mindfulness and Sudarshan Kriya, so I became very disciplined in that, creating those mindfulness and breathing exercises. I also started one practice, because some of my colleagues which were close, I started having more calls, though it was a problematic because our calendar was also full. But and every meeting that I started, we kept 15 minutes time check-in. Even if you go for today's meeting that we have check-in, and we talk lightly, like we would be meeting people on the coffee, and we say, hey, how was your weekend? What did you do last weekend? How's your kid who's going to this school? So we did this kind of check-in, and I started a little bit more personal interaction. And I would say there was one more thing which helped me a lot, because it is a human crisis, but it also was a financial crisis for the companies like ours.
Yeah.
Even if we are in the food packaging business and make engineering and manufacturing, it affected our business. Then I connected it the purpose. It's a time to renew the company's purpose. So I put a little bit of my purpose, helping people, helping the business, and what can we do to continue to serve the customer who are making the food available to the populace, because the consumption declined in the hotel, but consumption didn't increase at the home. So it's a little bit, I connected more with the purpose of my company, and I started thinking in which way we can come out stronger as a company and as a people. So I think these are the few tricks that I did myself to gain back my energy.
That's great, and I think that human touch, that humanness, is so much at the core of our energy. So it's great that you have these tune-ins. And for me personally, Deepak, one of the biggest challenges was and still is that instead of being live with people as a trainer and enjoying that energy in being in one room, I now constantly in front of the computer screen back home. And for me, actually, that one of the keys is to go out. After this session also, you will see me going to the forest, and there I can recharge the batteries. Now, scientists and physicians, they're still struggling to cure the physical symptoms of the long COVID. But also many people are struggling with the emotional long haul of the pandemic. And in the early uncertain days of pandemic, I don't know how you remember these days, I think many of us were charged because this new, like you also alluded to it, right? In the first couple of months, it actually unleashed energy in us. We were in a sense of fight and flight mode, and we developed new strategies. But as the pandemic has dragged on and this acute state of anguish has given way to almost a chronic condition, the question is, how do we name that, what is happening? And it's really interesting that a new term has been coined actually by a sociologist named Corey Case, languishing, the term languishing. And the argument is that in psychology, we basically think about mental health as on one spectrum, from depression to flourishing, right? Flourishing being that peak of well-being, to have a strong sense of purpose, of meaning, mastery of our inner well-being, and depression being that valley of ill-being, that feeling of being drained and worthless.
Yes. And
languishing is basically that neglected middle child of mental health. Okay. It's that void between depression and flourishing. It's that absence of well-being. It's a sense of stagnation, emptiness. And I don't know how it is for you, but for me, it seems very accurate that this could be described, or the word describing one of the dominant emotions of 2021. And so I wanted to ask, now you as a global HR head for more than 5,000 people, how would you describe how your people have dealt with the crisis? Were they languishing? And how are they doing? How are you helping them to flourish again?
Yes, I think that is a very relevant question. And I like the way you have described, Christoph, because it is not actually depression. It's an in-between feeling. That we were thinking, oh, well, few weeks, few months, we will go back to the normal. We are not able to go. People were staying, and not everybody is staying in a very good condition at home. They are small kids, they have to work as well. And there were many constraints. And what we did, because for this job, and I little bit coming from where I come from, mindfulness, in many of those sites, we introduced the mindfulness, because I remember you also conducted for some of our leaders a session on breathing exercise, because breathing is that sometimes it helps us to regain the composure and being part of it. And there is one more thing, and which I can share, because you have a very good initiative called resilience. We trained all our managers because we could not go back to all 5,000 people, but we trained our managers in handling those situations and talk to the people, because managers have a strong touch and they were still in, because work was being happening. So we wanted them to be a little bit more compassionate and talk about the feeling and issues and emotions. And even whenever we have our monthly call, and then we have a quarterly call with all the leaders, then he started talking a little bit more openly about mental state, mental health. So it is not a taboo. If you are not feeling good, you have a right to talk to the people. So it's a little bit by nuances. We try to change the culture and the mindset. But there's one thing that I would say that languishing feeling, we try to address it by our policy, because we did a survey.
Okay.
In the middle of that, because I know it was in July, August 2020, we asked people what is their feeling and what they would like to do. You would be surprised, out of the survey, 1/3 says they do not feel safe to come to work. 1/3 of them said they would like to come to work because they are missing the workplace energy and atmosphere. And 1/3, they say, no, they do not have preferences. So we make an interim policy immediately. We allowed people, those who want to come at least once in a week, we allow them. Earlier, we were only allowing people who need to have the VPN security, or who needed a bigger 3 or 4 screens designers. But then we allowed some of the people, those who wanted to come, and the choice was left to them. And we still made it a little bit more liberal policies, how they can connect from work, what time there was no need for them to inform the manager. So it's a little bit, we gave them a little bit more empowerment and freedom to decide how they would like to work, and also how they would like to connect with the rest of the team.
That's great. That's absolutely great. And I think for both, you shared very impressively how this crisis has personally challenged you. I can say it has also challenged me. And I think resilience is exactly that phenomena, actually, that many a times a challenge makes us stronger. In fact, Harvard Business Review had published, I think back in October 2020, an article saying, and a piece of research saying that people at work who had at least 5 changes due to COVID, right? For example, working from home instead of working from office, etc. At least 5 changes were 13 times more resilient than others who had no changes, Deepak. So that's surprising, but then sometimes it gets too much, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it is overwhelming. And so a training on resilience is absolutely vital. So I know that you have rolled out resilience programs. How has that made a difference for your people?
Yes, I think the first thing first, it sent the message that we care for the people. First thing first, because by introducing resilience, we said it is a subject that we can talk. So first thing that we do, first thing we did, and you are right, because it's a human brain's plasticity is enormous. We adapt, but during the process of change, we go through all the cycle of a little bit of shock, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of sadness, and then we come back. So it is important to be supportive during that time. And the person who can be supportive is the manager. So we train, if I'm not wrong, almost 300 managers. And one of the session, we did it for the global HR team of 70 people. And I remember it was conducted by you. We only devoted, because we have a quarterly call, we only devoted, and we said, you are the people, you communication and health and safety people who are closer to the people, and you should know about this resilience, and give them the hope, and give them that it is, we might, because of the human resilience that we have innate, we will come stronger. Only thing is, during this period, we have to continue to walk. I remember it looks a little bit non-serious, but it's very appropriate. Churchill's quote. if you are walking through the hell, keep on walking. That's the only way to get out of that. So this is exactly, if it was a tough time, I think we have to continue to build our strength. And your training done by TLEX was extremely useful, because then I followed up with all the managers, how they're training, because some of them did the counseling, some of them used it as a training session, and some of them have used to create the meeting place to address those subjects. So it was, in my view, a very good investment, a very good commitment to the health of the people. That's great. That's great.
Now, there's obviously many ways to look at resilience. There's almost a confusing amount of research on it, and you're an expert in the field yourself. I think there is a broad understanding that there are 4, let's say, dimensions which are key. One is the mental dimension, right? The ability to manage our own mind, the ability to be present even if there is stress. The second piece would be the physical dimension, and I think that's not easy. There is that new saying that the sitting is the new smoking, right? We keep on sitting through all these meetings. So the physical aspect. Then there's the social aspect, and there is research which indicates that people who have only at least one friend they can really talk to are significantly more resilient than people who don't have a chance to really kind of connect and share the deepest aspects of what matters to them. And then there's the fourth aspect, and you, Deepak, you have alluded to that piece in your opening statement, that purpose. And many times when there's such strong transformations in the world, or if an organization goes through transformational processes, it can be witnessed that for an employee to kind of navigate towards that purpose, or finding that purpose, is not easy. I have also experienced that, Deepak. I was thinking when preparing this session, for me, I still carry the same job title as 1.5 years ago. I'm the CEO of the TLEX, but at that time, I was traveling 70% of the time. I would be live with groups of 20, 30 people, basically 8 hours a day in seminars. Today, I'm staying at home in front of the screen, same job title, same topic, but a total different experience. Now, research has shown, though, that if people have that sense of really living their purpose at work, for example, a McKinsey report has shown that they report almost 4 times higher engagement and 5 times higher well-being compared to people who don't have that sense of living their purpose. So in these times of crisis, how have you experienced that purposefulness for yourself? And do you see changes in the organization? Is it more difficult for people to actually connect to that sense of purpose?
Yeah, that's a very profound question, and it's a very good question, because it explains the whole, as I talked about, our human resilience, and how even during the time of because it's not a war, but during the time of war, how societies regenerate and they come together. And they come together. I would like to talk 2 anecdotes about in the company. In the month of September 2020, which we have been doing a 1-year research, we launched a new vision statement. People were saying, no, it's not the time. It's not the time to do it, because people are at home. How you are going to launch it? You are launching. There's a lot of campaign needed. You have to go to the people. You have to create the workshop. You have to bring them together. But our communication department and marketing department said, no, this is the right time. Because in the VUCA world, if you replace V of volatility with vision, I think it gives people something to hold on to. It gives the anchoring. We are in this company because our purpose is this: making food available, providing at the cheapest possible one, and make liquid food distribution easier and cheaper, and we will be environment friendly, and we will be sustainability. I think that people get more meaning connected to this. This is number one. Number two also was that we also launched the training, more and more training online. Communication training that we launched, and I remember I used to attend many of those communication training and start and have the discussion. Even you would not believe, Christoph, we also launched the 2 leadership curriculum. We have a leadership curriculum. We created the version online.
Fantastic.
And the satisfaction score with the online version was higher than the satisfaction score we used to do in the classroom.
Really?
And they could do it because we are also learning, because we did the synchronous work and non-synchronous work. So training, which used to be 3 days in a classroom, people traveling from all over the world, we made it 8 weeks training, 2 hours of snippets, three or 4 people working on the project and then doing that. And I also remember your session, because which I learned a lot from. Because when you were conducting the training on resilience, I saw that you started interaction through the Zoom. And I even saw the people who are shy type, who are introvert type, but they find it easier to write. So I did not, the kind of discussion and debate it generated, sometimes it is much more than you could do it within a classroom. And classroom, only people raise hand are the one who are the speakers, who want to speak, who are not afraid to talk. But your style of extracting the participation from the people, it really brought even the shy people together, and they could express and they could say their comment and their expression and their emotions, they could really do. So this is what I would say is that that's what we try to do, to create more purpose and to create more connected that. And also my CEO, in a very inspirational way, she also aligned the people. They say we are going to lose 28% of the business, but we will do something that we will still remain in black. That will be a profitable company. And everybody, those who were long enough in the company, they remember in 2008 financial crisis, when we lost the top line of the business, we went into red. But then it became the rallying point. So sometimes it's a rallying point, brings people together, at least emotionally, even if they are not physically together.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Now, languishing is such an interesting word. And it has also been described as that blah feeling, right? A feeling where it is so difficult to find a focus, to find a purpose. And the question is, what's the remedy? And one remedy which is really discussed now quite intensely in the field of psychology is the concept of flow, the concept of being present, being relaxed and alert. And a couple of years ago, a Fortune 500 software company, actually in India, launched a very interesting experiment. They had a new policy. So they said that on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday, there should be no interruptions before noon. Imagine, new policy, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, no interruption before noon. That's a dream world, right? Because many times we interrupt ourselves actually, but no external interruptions. And they have actually followed this experiment scientifically, and they found that when the engineers managed the boundaries of interruptions themselves, only 47% had above average productivity. But when the company introduced this new policy, 65% of the staff achieved above average productivity. So the idea is that less interruptions is very good for performance. It creates more flow, but quite frankly, it helps us to be more present, and with that also to be more happy. So that concept of being in a flow could be discussed as an antidote to languishing. And I mean, already Einstein used to say that his true moments of magic, his true inspiration did not really happen at work, but when he went for a walk or, I don't know, under the shower. So I was wondering, how do you see that? The concept of being present and tools and techniques to practice that presence. You have alluded that this is something personally important to you. You practice mindfulness. Have you found a structure where you implement it in your business day, or do you do that only when you feel like? How do you make use of that?
Okay, yeah. I think this is very insightful. Thank you, Christoph. I have not looked at this piece earlier about the flow, and you are right, because in the current workspace that we all have been working, we used to get a social energy and talk to the people, and then, but we also know sometimes these are the too many interruptions, because most of the people sit in the open offices. But you have given me good insights, because what we are doing, and this is again the byproduct of COVID crisis and pandemic. We are thinking of creating the new workplace, where we will create 3 zones for interaction, zone for quiet work, and zone for alone, or for interaction, quiet work, and there was one more 3 zones where individual work and only the phone meetings and that. So we are experimenting this one of the sites in Europe, but we have not thought about the policy yet. But I will come back to, I will reflect on your statement and on your study. Coming back to me, and you are asking is that how do we get the better productivity out of the work and this? Of course, because if I'm allowed to be a little autobiographical,
yes, please.
I have to, because it's a little bit the routine that I have put, because at 6 o'clock to 6:30, I do my breathing exercises.
That's great. Yeah.
And 6:30, I'm out on the road. One day walking. At the moment, I cannot run because of my pain in the knee. Doctor has advised me, my physiotherapist has advised me not to, but I still ran today. So I run for about 45 minutes to 50 minutes, and I come back. And because if I'm not going to the work, it's a half an hour I've saved by not traveling. So it's a little bit, and if my day begins well, I think it's a half of the battle won.
Yeah.
And this is one thing. And second is, even if I have a busy day, I keep half an hour for lunch. And you might be laughing. Sometimes I finish my lunch because I bring my home. I do not have to go outside like some of my colleagues. I bring my home lunch. My wife prepares it every day morning for me. I finish it for 15 minutes. Then 15 minutes I go out in the nature. I'm very lucky to have water in front of me in my home, and also the lake in front, just 700 meters from my office. And then it again refreshes me. And in between, sometime I have started doing stretching, but I have not been able to do many of those exercises. But it is always good. Sometime while you come back in the evening, I do little bit, very light breathing before we go to bed. This I together do with my wife. And these are, I've shared too much, maybe I've shared too much, but I wanted to do, and that is the one that keeps us rooted.
Yeah. And then Deepak, actually, I think it's great that you're sharing that. And what I have noticed, and I want to share that with you, when you were talking about this half an hour of breathing, or when you were talking about the walk you take, you were smiling so much. I could literally feel that happiness,
yes,
which it gives you. And I think that's just amazing that you have found such a great routine for yourself. Yeah.
Yes. And yeah, exactly. And that keeps the sanity as well. And but maybe I have never thought about the flow concept, but I will think about creating a chunk that where I do not have meeting, but I have to think about that discipline. Thank you for giving that idea. Yeah.
The good news, though, is that research has also indicated that, for example, certain breathing techniques can help to get in that state of flow. For example, it has been found that there are techniques which help to both increase the beta waves. You know, the beta waves in our brain are very high when we are focused. But it also increases the alpha waves, which are typically high when we are relaxed. So by applying breathing techniques, we can get in a state of relaxed alertness, which brings us closer to that flow state. So I'm sure after your breathing, you probably, when you go for your run, you're in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. You actually you have explained it even well. Yeah. But you are right, because I'm seeing this, it keeps me on my toes, and of late I've started feeling little less, how to use the word, little less perturbed by things up and going down, because it helps me to keep the balance. And you know, Christoph, you are a great practitioner of the breathing, like breathing, everything goes up and down. Things, emotion will go up, they will come down as well. So you can be a little bit watchful, and you can be what you call witness to what's happening. So sometimes this detachment also helps.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's true. I love my breathing techniques. I actually also do them in the morning. And you know, when I was preparing this discussion with you, and we are coming to the end of it, I realized, having written down all the questions, I realized it's all about challenges and the heavy side of COVID. And I asked myself the question, well, what were the beautiful moments? What have I gained from this crisis? And it certainly made me reflect more about actually the meaning of life. It made me appreciate more relationships, connections, being physically with family, with friends, even with coworkers, something I'm missing today. And I think my biggest gain was also because I'm traveling no more, I'm now much more connected to the nature here where I live near Basel. I go every night into the forest, and I gain so much energy from that. So I was wondering, in your personal reflection, and maybe also if you take the hat of the organization, have you also experienced certain gifts, certain things you maybe discovered as an individual and as an organization due to this very difficult COVID time?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would say that there are certain things that I have discovered. You would not believe, even before pandemic, people have been talking about working from home policy and this, because for some group of people it makes sense because they don't want to travel 40 minutes, 45 minutes and this. I used to say, for me, never. I will not be able to work from home because I need to be amongst the people. I need to be in my office. There I get into the company mode, company thinking mode. And you would not believe, when this was forced upon us, it was forced upon me, I started having the same, because I created a workplace within this room as well. So this is something, when you say, no, I'm like this, and you develop a fixed mindset, sometimes you do not know the circumstances can make you look the things that you have never looked at before. And it has given me some of those benefits, because of course I love my colleagues and I do, but it's also some time for me to have lunch with my wife when I'm working from home, which we have never enjoyed. Yeah. So these are some of the things that I've known about myself, that yes, which I used to say, never say never. This is one thing. And of course, because like you, I've also come closer to the nature, because just I'm also very fortunate because this is not in all the cities is available. Just 15 minutes walk, there is a big forest of Robert Shaw in my city. I go there, and I've started going for a long walk on the sometime on the weekend morning, which I've never explored. So these are some of those joy of nature. And I've read somewhere, if you go in the nature, and more, it's in the Japanese culture, they go and talk to the tree. It looks like, what do they do? But this is one of the technique, because I've seen traveling in China, once I saw some of the people, they go towards the close park and they yell and they bring all the emotion, and only thing is who is listening to them is only the nature.
Mm-hmm.
So nature could be a good teacher, good listener, as well as a good companion. You are right, because this is one of those some of those boons and the blessings that we are very happy to have.
That's great. So maybe this crisis has brought both you and me closer to the nature again.
Yeah.
Maybe we listen more to the nature, and I think it's also beautiful that what you were sharing, you do your breathing techniques with your wife, you have now lunch, time to have lunch with her. That's also wonderful. Deepak, I thank you so much. I know you are super busy. You have all these back-to-back meetings with your global team. I thank you so much for taking the time. And I thank you especially for sharing your personal insights. I think this podcast is about learning from leaders, and not learning what you can read about them anywhere, but learning these personal, let's say, learnings, and getting to know a leader very personal. I think you gave us this opportunity. Thanks so much. And yeah.
Thank you very much, Christoph, because you know that you are one of my inspiration, because the way you conduct yourself, and I've seen even during this time and running a business like you are doing, which is very noble cause, but you are always radiating. I can see the energy on your face. It's always not only the smile, but you have a radiating face, and I know it's because of your own mindfulness and the discipline that you follow. And you are parting with all of us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Deepak.
Thanks
to the audience for being with us. You can follow us, the World Forum for Ethics in Business and the TLEX Institute, on various social media. And let's stay in touch. Stay healthy. All the best.